Rising authoritarianism is a problem in America right now. It is a theme in a large part of the Republican Party. It began and was mainlined by Donald Trump, but continues apace with many others coming along. That is the serious side of what might look stupid or farcical. Matt Gaetz, who's been under federal investigation, going on Steve Bannon's podcast, Bannon now awaiting trial, as we reported, for what was his second criminal indictment. Now, Gaetz has a lot of reasons to change the subject, but the subject they're focusing on also merits some attention when you think about rising authoritarianism and public pledges to abuse power at a time when these people are aligned with someone, the former president, who abused power. Take a listen.
This is Trumpism in power. That's why we went to the 4,000 shock troops we have to have that's going to man the government and get them ready now, right? We're going to hit the beach. You know, you have the landing teams and the beachhead teams, all that nomenclature they use when President Trump wins again in 2024 or before.
Or before, Bannon referring to something that has cropped up more and more on the right, first with QAnon conspiracy theories, but now in a way, especially when you talk about people who worked in the White House or a current member of Congress, in a way that shows just how brazen and open people are being about trying to seize power without an election or overthrowing one. Both of those things are anti-democratic. They're authoritarian. We have to call them by their name. Gaetz talking openly about abusing power to punish government officials.
We are going to go after this administrative state, and we're going to start at the Department of Justice and the FBI. That's the job I want. You know, send me over to the Judiciary Committee, and their sphincters will tighten because they've been doing a lot of corrupt things over there.
We are joined by former federal prosecutor John Flannery, who was counsel to congressional investigations. Welcome back, sir. How do you distinguish between brazen, pathetic political theater, which is not new in America, and what looks like open and public plotting to mainline authoritarianism?
I think it doesn't just look like open plotting. It does and is open plotting. Both these guys have histories. You know, we have Bannon, who was advising the president how, in fact, to bring off an insurrection, and was involved with those people on the 5th and the 6th, according to the investigation of the Select Committee on the Hill. We had Gaetz in May of this year telling people, you know what the Second Amendment was for? It was to use it. It was to go against the government. It was for an uprising. And so what do we have a conversation here? They don't just say we should oppose the government. We don't just say we should go out and vote. We have from Bannon, he says, we're going to hit the beach with the landing teams and the beachhead teams and all that nomenclature they use when President Trump wins in 2024, and as you said, or before. And he's talking about 4,000 shock troops. He's identifying, and it sounds like stormtroopers. It reminds me of my uncle, who was a prisoner of war in World War II, and what my family thought about what was going on in Germany, and it's going on here. And the stormtroopers of the fascists, they were the ancillary to Hitler taking over. Now, similar language from Gaetz. Gaetz starts this. He says, "Raise your voice, raise your voice, raise an army."
I want to play one more piece for you, and I'll say they may be invoking that just as the Charlottesville marchers invoked their version of modern neo-Nazism. I'm certainly not reporting on something reaching a Germany level at this juncture, but I am talking about authoritarianism because this is the other part I want to play for you. Bannon talking about going after opponents, abusing power, planning to do it if and when they get back to the federal government, in their view. Take a listen.
Right.
People didn't like that Donald Trump raised his voice, but sometimes you got to raise your voice to raise a ruckus and to raise an army of patriots who love this country and will fight for her. And if we get more of them, exactly what we're going to do. We're going to operationalize the performance to go right after the people who are imposing the vaccine mandates, who are enriching themselves, and who are selling out the country.
That's Gaetz there talking to Bannon. I have about a minute left, John. What is your legal view of the distinction between how these folks defend it, which is saying he's brash, he's loud, he's talking about doing congressional oversight, which is valid, the oversight part, and what it really sounds like when you look at the whole context, which is abuse of power?
using his own words, the sphincter muscles that are tight are his and Bannon's. And he wants to take over what? The judiciary and the FBI? Why? For self-defense. Both these guys are counting on taking over the government, so they won't have to answer for the things they're saying right now that they've done already, and we expect they'll do again. If I was the Attorney General, there'd be a grand jury looking into that conversation and everything before it. And you have to ask yourself, why isn't the FBI visiting each of these men and saying, what did you mean? To resolve the question that this was, in their way, oh, it's just talk. Well, it's not just talk, because they have married up this kind of talk with action before, violent action. And what's happening is we're giving them a free ride to build up their people, their 4,000 stormtroops, for this aggressive takeover that didn't succeed the last time, but they say MAGA will succeed the next time.
Yeah. Well, you just hit on something that we mentioned in the open, but as is often the case, Mr. Flannery, you take it back to the point. We are looking at two people who are on the defensive end of investigations that have already sent Mr. GAETZ's friend and longtime ally to a long prison sentence, Mr. Bannon on his second indictment, looking at real jail time. Gosh, they have a big beef with the FBI and the DOJ. It's beyond a conflict of interest. It's a rank hypocrisy, and yet people listen to them, so the fact checks are needed, which is why we need the bow-tied fact checkers. Good to see you, John.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Ari.
Absolutely. We're going to fit in a